Around the country, more and more people are understanding that the police desperately need to be reformed. And for a lot of people, there's a lot of rage towards the police. And ICE has seen that, and they don't like not being the most hated government agency. And so they've come out with an effort to get you to refocus your rage on them. In a news release Monday, ICE said that students who fall under certain visas may not take a full course load online and remain in the U.S., adding that the U.S. Department of State will not issue visas to students enrolled in schools and or programs that are fully online for the fall semester, nor will U.S. Customs and Border Protection permit these students to enter the U.S. So effectively, if you're one of these international students who had either already been in the U.S. or was planning to come, now that COVID has required many universities, including Harvard and other Ivies, to switch to online course loads, you might be removed from the country as a result of that.
Why? What is the purpose?
I mean, right?
I can't. Yeah, I do know. But I just, when is ICE going to be done? Because I'm over it. Mm-hmm. And it's disgusting. This is disgusting. This is really meant to further the chasm between immigrants and Americans, who are mostly immigrants. It's their method in trying to do what Trump wants to do and really crack down and use any sort of tactic they can to create fear, to prevent people from trying to make a better life for themselves. I'm done with ICE. It needs to be canceled, abolished, flattened, melt it.
Yeah. AOC was very big on pushing that initially. It's
should be.
Totally unnecessary, and I think that we'll have more evidence on this in just a minute, but the Trump administration sees that in a time where people are scared, and economically we're not doing well, in terms of public health we're not doing well, and they've done everything they can to turn people's attention away from domestic government failures, and instead to China did it. They probably rightly believe that more Americans are going to be okay with targeting immigrants in a number of different ways.
And sadly, they are, actually.
Probably,
right.
Unfortunately. Now, ICE says that students currently enrolled in the U.S. should consider other measures like transferring to schools with in-person instruction. Super simple.
Because those are allowed right now.
Yeah, just switch colleges.
Just start your own university.
Yeah, or if you're a grad student, just switch graduate programs. Work on your doctorate elsewhere. It's easy. It's easy. And so I wanted to give credit to Miriam Abaya, public policy associate at the Young Center, who had a couple of tweets about how ridiculous some of these asks are for international students. She says, what if students are going back to countries without good internet connections, or where the time difference makes it difficult to join classes online? This makes it so difficult for these students to continue to get the education they paid for. And let's focus on pay here. Most international students don't get financial aid. They have to pay the entirety of their tuition up front. I have so many friends who struggle to put together the money to pay for a whole year. She says her husband did. This is just a slap in the face. So they tell all these students with very little time to go, fundamentally change everything about your education, but don't worry, you can just go back home or whatever. And of course, not knowing or not caring that is not easy for many of these students.
I mean, it's a pandemic, so we're going to expect there to be some major shifts, especially, in the university level. And we know that's a hotbed for virus transmission. But this is something different. This is something just meant to, it's like when you see a little open, okay, like now I can really take advantage of this situation. That's what this government is always looking, this administration particularly. But I'll say government because, Obama was on that ICE train too. Mm-hmm. So we can't forget who really established ICE and, what foundation he laid for it to be further and further for people to be exploited and abused. So it's pretty disgusting because these are all just students who are trying to make a better life for themselves, which isn't that the American dream?
Exactly. Supposed to be. That's what I was raised on. But again, to the point that we were making before about the Trump administration sort of using this pandemic to advance the agenda that it already had. I mean, we've seen that in a number of different areas in terms of the environment and food safety and all of that. We also have this. Last month, the White House issued an immigration proclamation dramatically curtailing legal immigration to the U.S., sending hundreds of people and businesses into a scramble to understand whether their future plans are derailed. In the proclamation, the administration argued that the, quote, extraordinary circumstances posed by coronavirus called for the suspension of employment-based visas. But immigration advocates, industries, and experts say the administration is taking advantages of the pandemic to make sweeping immigration changes and advance its agenda / legal immigration. Yeah, the extraordinary circumstances. There might be extraordinary circumstances, but I don't think they give a damn about it. They would do this no matter what the situation was.
Well, and it's happened right after they allowed the DACA students to stay a little bit longer, and now there's this.
Yeah.
Now there's all these requirements and these things because they don't want it. They don't want it. And this is a real big issue for Americans, and it's a real big issue amongst Latinos as well, because there's a lot of obviously Latino immigrants here in the United States, mostly because of proximity to, with the border right there. So you have a lot of Latino students hate towards Latino immigrants in general as them being people trying to freeload. That's why, and I missed her name, who brought her tweet up, she talks about how these international students pay for them. They don't get financial aid. There's this idea that these students are coming in and taking resources from other students, and they're not. Yeah. There's not this shortage of knowledge that you have to be so protective over. But really, this is just another way to keep people away and to create this idea that this administration is cracking down on immigration, and they're not going to give any favors to anybody who's not, natural born American. Because I don't know what American is anymore.
And especially, think about Trump's doing bad in the polls and all of that. And economically, we're probably not going to be doing well. In terms of public health, we're not going to be doing well. It is only going to get more racist from here on out. I don't know what more bans they can do after the last few years, because so little immigration is still allowed. But if they can find someone trying to the U.S., they're going to find a way to stop them, to reassure their base that he still has their back. He still hates all the same people that they do.
It's a real easy solution. If you're really that concerned about undocumented immigration, then crack down on the people hiring people. Do you remember that raid of that chicken farm just before the pandemic? And they got 600 and some people.
Yeah.
It was a immigration raid. What happened to that chicken farm guy, the owner? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to him. So we're now going to criminalize people who were desperate to go slaughter chickens. That was their lifelong dream. No, this guy making millions of dollars, not only exploiting these workers, but also poisoning our bodies with this poison chicken, which I'm sure is not healthy. And nothing happens to him. Scot-free. He probably was given a heads up. Hey, we're going to go take your workers. He's probably like, oh, dang.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's always been the case. And
so if you really want to solve it, yeah. How about all these people that are all anti-immigrant people? How many are hiring undocumented people, paying them underneath the table, not hiring them legally, not paying the taxes? And these are the same people, criticizing immigrants, that they're taking advantage of the country when you're the one actually doing it.
Yeah. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.